Good morning students. Welcome back to the second session of the chapter Two Gentlemen of Verona, written by A.J. Cronin. In our previous class, we learned that A.J. Cronin was a Scottish physician and a novelist. After his first novel became a huge success, he gave up medicine and he took to writing as his career. So his first novel is Hatter's Castle. Later on, he wrote many novels. In that, most of his novels have been successfully adapted into movies or films. So this story set in Verona city. And we also studied that author as well as his companion were about to enter the Verona city. As they were entering the city, they were stopped by two boys, that is Nicola and Jacopo. These two boys stopped author's car and they'll be wondering why their car was stopped. As they were peeping, they will get to know that these two boys were selling wild strawberries. Those strawberries were looking so delicious, they were looking very beautiful. Before they could think of buying, their cautious driver, that is Luigi, will stop them from buying them. He says to the author that they will get better quality fruit in Verona than buying from these boys. The reason why he disapproved, or the reason why he asked the narrator as well as his companion not to buy fruits, that is because of by looking at their physical appearance, because they were dressed shabbily. They dressed shabbily and their hairs were tangled and the clothes which they were wearing was of a oversized. By looking at their physical appearance, he will judge those two boys thinking that whatever fruits they are selling, that would be of no good quality. Though a cautious driver Luigi asked them not to buy fruits from them, our author as well as companion will buy the biggest fruit basket from them. So these two boys will be very happy, and the author as well as companion were strangely attracted to those boys, and they will set to Verona city. And also we learned that those two boys were brothers. So Nicola was 13 years old and Jacopo was 12 years old. Even at that age, they were putting forth lots of effort to work very hard. So this much we learnt in our previous class. And also we learnt about the demeanor or the beauty of the Verona city. This much we learnt in our previous class. Let us continue. Open page number 102. Next morning, coming out of our hotel, we drew up short. There, bent over, shoe-shine boxes beside the fountain in the public square. Doing a brisk business were our two young friends of the previous afternoon. So the previous day, the first day, they unexpectedly meet those two boys on the outskirts of Verona city, and they will buy fruits from them and they will go to Verona city. The next morning, after that day, that is next morning, as they were coming out of the hotel, they drew up short. Drew up short means came to halt, where they stopped their car. They stopped their car because they could see on the square two boys doing a busy work. So these two boys were busy polishing the customers' shoes. They were shoe shiners. They were busy polishing shoes of the men. Those two boys, the face of those two boys looked very familiar. Then they realized that these are the two boys where they met yesterday, that is the previous day. So these two boys were so energetic that they were busy polishing the shoes of other men or others. So where it shows that the previous day they were selling strawberries and today they are polishing shoes. It shows that they respect the profession which they were doing. For them, whatever job they do, that is equal for them. There is no much less nothing. Whatever job they were doing with honest and with equal respect. They were respecting whatever job they did or they were doing. We watched for a few moments, then as trade slackened, we went over. They greeted us with friendly faces. So these two, that is author as well as companion, as I told you, they were strangely attracted to those boys. And when they saw these two boys again for the next time, they were surprised. They were astonished by looking at their energy, the way they were working. So that's the reason these two, author as well as his companion, will stop there and they will be watching. There were a lot of customers, that's why they were standing and they were watching. And as the business slackened means gradually became less. As the business gradually became less, they went over. They go to those two boys. The moment those two boys saw these two, they recognized these two faces. That is because the previous day they bought the biggest basket from them. So that was a profit for them. So they were the ones who bought the biggest basket of strawberries from them. So they would never forget those faces. As soon as they saw author as well as his companion, they were so happy and they will greet them with the same smiling face, which shows that they recognized these two men from previous afternoon. I thought you picked fruit for a living, I said. And author is a curious one, is an observer. He couldn't resist his curiosity and he will ask a question to those boys. I thought you people sell fruits for your living. I didn't know that you people can do many other things or many other jobs. Like that he will ask. We do many things, sir. Nicola answered seriously. He glanced at us hopefully. Often we show visitors through the town to Juliet's tomb and other places of interest. And immediately when author will ask that, he was thinking that those two boys will sell fruits for their living, Nicola answers them quickly saying, no sir, we do many different jobs. And he will glance at them hopefully. Nicola said this hoping that author as well as companion will give them some work so that they would earn something from that. He says that no, we do many other things. He says that they would take tourists around the town. Not just that, they will show Juliet's tomb and many other different places of their interest. So he says this hoping that since they are tourists or since they are visitors to the Verona city, they would give them job as a tourist guide so that they can take them around the town and make some money. All right, I smiled. You take us along. So author will get this point. He will understand the reason behind this. He says, he will understand and he will smile and he says, okay, all right. He says, take us along. As we made the rounds, my interest was again provoked by their remarkable demeanor. They were childish enough and in many ways quite artless. Then these two boys will take author as well as the companion round the city. The more time they were spending with those two boys, author's interest was again provoked by their remarkable demeanor. Demeanor means appearance and behavior. Author was very much impressed by the way those two boys were behaving. They were so much active, the appearance and the way they were doing job was of no match. Those two boys were so hardworking that it caught the attention of the author. To that age, they were very much serious. They knew what they are doing. So they were very much serious about the work they were doing. So they were not childish enough. Though they were children, they had that seriousness in them. And in many ways, they were quite artless. Artless in the sense, they were innocent. Jacobo, although his lips were paler than they should have been, was lively as a squirrel. Nicola's smile was steady and engaging. Yet, in both of these boyish faces, there was a seriousness which one respected, an air of purpose far beyond their years. So here the narrator has drawn a contrast between Nicola and Jacopo. He says Jacopo, the younger one, was lively and childish. He was lively as squirrels. He was very much active. He is comparing the liveliness of Jacopo to that of a squirrel. Whereas Nicola was very mature and his eyes own an expression of seriousness. Narrator says that although the boys were childish, yet there was a seriousness in their eyes which was much beyond their age. One has to admit and which one respected. They were just 12 and 13 years old. Maybe this is because they had faced the harshness of life at a very early age. And children of that age usually do not have such an expression of seriousness in their eyes. Probably this could be because they had to face harshness of life at a very early age. They were that serious. So this could be the reason for their seriousness at that age. In the week which followed, we saw them frequently, for they proved extremely useful to us. If we wanted a pack of American cigarettes or seats for the opera or the name of a good restaurant that could provide good ravioli, Nicola and Jacopo would be relied upon to satisfy our needs with their usual cheerful competence. Our author as well as his companion was so acquainted to those boys that in a week, whatever author and companion wanted, these boys were of a great help. So anything they would rely on these two boys, because they know that if they tell Jacopo and Nicola, their work would be done. So like this, these two boys were of a great help, like buying American cigarettes. If they wanted American cigarettes, they would rely on these two young boys. Or if they wanted seats in opera, they would get seats there. And if they wanted to know a good restaurant name to have ravioli. Ravioli means pasta, okay. If they wanted to have pasta or ravioli, even that these two boys were ready with a suggestion list, a list of restaurants name. For every needs that they wanted to fulfill, these two were very handy. Any sort of job they wanted to be done, they would depend on these two boys closing their eyes. They know that if they tell Nicola or Jacopo, their work would be done. They were so much dependent on these two boys that for everything, for each and everything, they used to depend on these two boys. What struck one most was their unremitting willingness to work. During these summer days, under the hot sun and in the long evenings when the air blew chill from the mountains, they shined shoes, sold fruit, hawked newspapers, conducted tourists round the town, ran errands, exploited every avenue which the troubled economy of the town left open to them. So the most important thing which author was impressed was their unremitting willingness to work. Unremitting in the sense never relaxing. So whenever this author as well as companion see these two boys, every time, each and every time they saw these two boys, they would be working. One or the other thing they would be working. Say they not just bought them American cigarettes, or they not just booked ticket in opera, they not just suggested a good restaurant name. Apart from these three jobs, apart from helping the author and his companion, they also did many different things where people would be looking for a solution or a help. So they did different jobs, different odd jobs which did not connect at all. So author as well as companion, they visited Verona during summer. So in that summer, in that hot afternoon, they used to work dawn to dusk continuously. That unremitting willingness, so the dedication, that was impressive. So author was impressed by their attitude and behavior. So narrator observes that as it was so hot during summers, during the daytime when there was the sun over the head, they would shine shoes near the fountain in the center of square, sold fruits, hawked newspapers. They used to go to people and asking them whether they need newspaper, that is hawked. So they used to sell newspaper, ran errands, means doing some small jobs. So like this, wherever there is a necessity or wherever there was necessity, these two boys were present there. So basically their aim was to earn the maximum amount by doing any petty job, any job for that matter. Their aim was to earn maximum amount, out of which the troubled economy of the town left open to them. So these two boys were ever ready to do any sorts of job, irrespective of any time, any part of the day, they were ready to do all sorts of job. So wherever there is necessity, or wherever there was an option, or wherever there was a chance of making money by rendering their services, these two boys used to be present there. So like this, the boys, without taking rest or without compromising the quality of the job, they used to work from day to night. So like this, two boys were not just helpful for those author as well as companion, but for other people too. So wherever there is necessity or wherever there is option left open to them, they used to grab those opportunity and they used to make use of those opportunities. So we'll stop it over here. We will continue in the next class. We'll see what happened in the next class. So in today's class, we saw the different job these two boys were doing and how these two boys were helpful for author as well as companion. So author learnt this much. We'll see in our next class what else did our author learnt about this two boys in the next class. Thank you, class.